Okay, so we're recording now.
All right, everybody. We want to welcome
Okay.
everybody to Heart with Dan and Angela. And we got a very special guest tonight. She was a former Mormon. And Angela, would you mind reading her
I
bio?
don't mind. So our guest tonight is Ari of Farmington, Utah. After having had a career in an investigative an investigative journalist, which truly set her on a path to acquire an open-mindedness, this chosen career would prove to be to her favor and benefit. Not many years later, she was soon forced to face, learn, and discover within her own personal family of origin that something was very wrong. Fast forward, many changes have occurred in Ari's life. At present, she is a 39-year-old wife and mother of 9 children who left the Mormon Church the summer of 2021, just 1 year ago. She says she was born and raised Mormon in a larger than mine Mormon family, she says. We'll have to see what she means by this tonight. She was groomed to become a sister in Zion to raise up righteous children who would follow the covenant path, she says. She will share with us tonight how she lost her faith due to an abusive situation within her perfect Mormon family, she says. How she, after going deep and asking questions, discovered a maelstrom of lies and had to figure out what to do with this new information. How she allowed herself the freedom to read what she wanted, including apostate literature. How she finally quit going to church. How she tried to speak up against the abuse and help, but was rejected and discarded. How the loss and rejection caused her to look suicide in the face. Ari shared that, I'm adding, like Paul in the Bible, that she is currently very much involved in the process of unlearning all that she learned. She shares that her 20 years as a collegiate athlete, being a long-distance runner, as well as being a thinker, she says, quote, there's nothing like 20 miles on a road or steep mountain terrain to help you process a lifetime of trauma, end quote. We are so excited to hear what Ari has to say tonight as we process this journey we all call life together. Welcome. Welcome, Ari.
Wow.
So pretty incredible.
Hi, thank
I was going to tell you, I think that running sometimes clears a space. I used to run and it was part of my awakening. I don't know what it was, but I got free. I don't know if it was endorphin highs or what it was, but I was running marathons too. And do you feel that helped you in kind of, breaking away? Were you a runner the whole time you were in it, or did you just start running?
I've been a runner since I was a child. So I started in junior high. So I've run, that's been my go-to, is just kind of, it's been the thing that I used to cope. It was the thing that got me through life. It got me through college. I actually met my husband on our college track team. But running has been that constant for me. And so, yeah, it's been, when I feel like life is hard, sometimes it's my physical, I'm running away right now. And then when I'm out there, as you might know, you just get that clarity of thought sometimes, and you have to be present. And yeah, it's been one of the main things that's saved me, I'd say.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, I was going to let the people on my YouTube channel know that I'm starting to interview different people. And one of the persons I have not interviewed is someone of the Mormon faith. We've interviewed a lot of different type people, but I want the people to know in my faith, the ones that have left, lots of witnesses are leaving by the thousands. And I want them to know that there's a lot of other things just like it, maybe worse, but I guess when I left, I was always looking for the right answer, right? I went into 200 Christian churches and here and metaphysical and, all these different communities because I wanted to find that truth. And if I'm not wrong, does the Mormons think they have the truth? I wanted to ask you that. Do the Mormons think that they have the truth?
The only truth.
And then why? I wanted to ask you why, because we thought we had the truth and we had our reasons why we thought we had the truth. But I'm curious to see what makes Mormons have more truth than like other religions. What were the things they told you, that said, this is why we have the truth and they don't? I'm just curious because I know nothing about the Mormons.
Well, the Mormon Church, the premise of it, I mean, the origins of it come from Joseph Smith, who is the, I guess, the founder, and he restored the gospel. Okay, so we were told that Joseph Smith saw God in Jesus in the sacred grove, and that he was directed to find golden plates. And the golden plates were essentially the word of God and a companion to the Bible. And that he essentially restored the original gospel. We were taught that the original gospel was taken off the earth because people were so wicked. And it was Joseph Smith who restored the gospel. And we are the restored church, the only true church upon the face of the earth, led by the only one and only true prophet who speaks to God. That's what we were taught. That's what we are taught.
Gotcha. Boy, that's a pretty big thing to say that, God spoke to Joseph Smith, what was it? Golden tablets? Yeah, golden plates, and they had this special knowledge on them. That's a pretty big,
Yeah. And Dan and I did know that about what you guys believe, but putting it all together, I grew up in the Worldwide Church of God, which is part Jehovah's Witness, part Jewish, part Seventh-day Adventism, mostly Jehovah's Witness, I would say, with a heavy duty bit of keeping the Jewish holy days and Sabbath and all that. So ours was, instead of the plates, we kept the holy days and nobody else did. And the Sabbath, very important. It's a telltale sign of the true Christian. And so that was how we made ourselves, quote, special. The Jehovah's Witnesses was probably the biggest one, was we don't take blood, and we know God's real name, Jehovah, and you must know it, you must use it.
Yeah, they put back the name in the Bible. And they said that Jesus came back, I think it was 1800s, early 1900s, and he said, I found them working, and I call you good and faithful servants, and I'm going to appoint you over all my belongings. You're going to be my faithful
belongings?
And discreet slave, all his truths, all his understanding. So we were the special church because Jesus came back, saw him working, and said, you're the ones, Jehovah's Witnesses. In fact, that's God's name, and he's going to take out a people for his namesake, Jehovah's Witnesses. So I got a question. So how long were you in there? How long were you, and were you faithful? Did you love it at one time?
Oh yeah, I was born in it. I was born in, and they call it born under the covenant. We were born in, because our parents were sealed in the temple. So we got the temples, and we are, that's the epitome of, everything. You get baptized, and then you get married and sealed in the temple. You make these covenants along the way, and these are saving ordinances. So if you do these things, you will be saved. And if you are married and sealed in the temple, then and you are born under the covenant with parents who were sealed in the temple, you are a special one, because you are lucky, because your parents loved it. I mean, it's just hard as a Mormon, but the thing is different, and you believe you're the one. You believe you're lucky. And so, yeah, I guess I loved it because it was my way to heaven, and I was going to raise my children this. I was on a ship to heaven. I rode this ship.
I got a question, Ari. They said that, like the guys, they're excited to get to heaven because they get to have, is that the Muslims that get to have whatever wives that they want? Because in heaven, I thought you guys believe that you don't have, you're not given in marriage in any way. So, and being that you're not married in heaven, then why is that so great? I don't know.
You will, the Mormon Church believes you will be married in heaven. Yeah. Yeah, they do. But polygamy was something that was part of the early days of the church. Joseph Smith had polygamous wives, and he taught polygamy. Now, that, it's kind of a controversial topic, because Mormons disavowed polygamy like in the early 1900s or something like that, but it was still practiced for quite a while. But those are the fundamentalist Mormons, and the current mainstream Mormons are like, no, that's not us. And so they stepped away from that. But that was actually the very beginning of the church. And also in the Mormon church, say, for instance, if the man and woman are married, and say if a woman dies, if the wife dies, a man can be sealed to another woman. But if the husband dies, a woman cannot be sealed to another man. And so that kind of,
That's weird.
people argue that even though polygamy is not an earthly teaching, that it is still a celestial teaching, that men will have multiple wives after this life.
How do you feel about that, Ari? Now that you're out?
It's nuts.
What?
No, I think it's nuts. I think it's, it's awful.
Sounds like a
It's very
man-made religion.
very
But I'm going to have multiple wives. That sounds like a man-made
a
religion.
lustful
I'm going to have all the wives I want.
I know. It's like, the lust, right? The lust going
Yeah.
nuts. Yeah, that's not right. It's almost like idolatry of women.
Yeah.
That I don't know, the all important
No,
thing you get to do.
Here's my question though. Since Joseph Smith got the golden plates, and this is a crazy question, but was the polygamy written in the golden plates?
No, so that it wasn't. The golden plates, essentially, I don't know, there's so much in there. I mean, the thing is, lots of things, church history was hidden from so many people. You have to, that's like anti-Mormon stuff. You're just taught what you're taught. You're not told to do anything. But no, it wasn't. But there's another set of scriptures that's called the Doctrine and Covenants.
All right.
Okay, so that's, you've got the Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, and Pearl of Great Price, and that's like the trilogy of scripture alongside the Bible. But the Doctrine and Covenants, Joseph Smith actually wrote, and in that, in Doctrine and Covenants, I want to say section 132, it does talk about how polygamy is an eternal teaching. It talks about that.
How did he get these writings, the Doctrines and Covenants? Did he channel it from Jesus or Moroni?
No, well, the Doctrine and Covenants essentially is his history, but also so it's more present day, because the Book of Mormon he channeled through. We were taught that he translated it directly, from the plates themselves, but there were no plates. But now the church is being very open with, he had a seer stone and he saw things through a seer stone and didn't need the plates. It's just also blurry. But the Book of Mormon is supposed to be the record of, I guess, Native Americans, but now the church is stepping away from that because there's no evidence of it. So they're trying to just, I'll make it all whatever. But the thing is, the Doctrine and Covenants is present day with Joseph Smith. So those are his actual, I guess, receivings that he had. God talked to him. And so now this is his current revelations, not prophets of old. Those were his revelations, if that makes sense.
You just have to be in faith to believe that he really got that from God. I mean, it's just a pure faith thing, really. You trust that he really did.
The first, we have what's called the Articles of Faith, and those are in the Pearl of Great Price, the Book of Abraham. Now I'm remembering now, but the first, so the first Article of Faith says, we believe that the first principles and ordinances of the gospel are first faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. So first faith, everything is based on faith. And the Lord Jesus Christ is essentially the prophet, because the prophet speaks to God. And so you operate on faith.
What's similar to this religion as compared to Jehovah's Witnesses is that you guys believe in faith that Joseph Smith heard from God, And well, even the seer stone, that he got that right, that he heard correctly, that it was God and not Satan or something. And then this Doctrines and Covenants, same thing. I mean, everything was on faith. Well, interesting, in the Jehovah's Witnesses, they are on faith for many, many years, not knowing who the governing body. No, they have this group of men called the governing body. And then there's also the faithful and discreet slave. Now, that you'd think that's one person, but it's actually a group of men who hear straight from God, receive the information, and put it into their Awaken whatever magazines. And then you trust in faith that they're hearing directly from God, and that they're putting this information correctly, perfectly, and passing it so everybody gets the same magazines on the same week every week. And but you're in faith, but you don't know who these men are, if they went to college, or if they're good people, or whether they're moral, or whether, you don't get to vet them
They do
out.
now. They do.
Yeah,
now.
they do now. But for many, many years, until very recently, you had no idea who this group of men are that they call themselves the faithful and discreet slave, appointed by Jesus. But everybody's in total faith that these men are good men, holy men, moral men. Who they say, we don't even know who they are. They didn't even have their names until recently, just very recently. So it's the same kind of thing. It's pretty much that. In Worldwide Church of God, same thing. You're trusting that you're the minister is hearing right, got it right. You're just in faith. You're following a man. It's interesting to me.
Yeah. So my question is to you is, they put on a really good front. I got to tell you, I mean, they come on TV. I remember when Mitt Romney, they were going to be president. They showed all these commercials of family and how important family was. And I thought that was a good thing. And then but then I looked around and I thought, what are these big buildings they're building? Like here in Boise, they've got 2 temples. The second temple they just built is bigger than our Capitol. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's got this big thing on top, this big angel. I guess it's solid gold or 24 karat gold. And I'm thinking, I was on my way from Boise, Idaho to Vegas, and I was on I-84. I guess it was 115, but there were literally down the road, there was a temple down the road, staggered every couple 100 miles, and they looked like Disney. It looked like Walt Disney. I had to
Not
look
temples,
twice.
but churches.
They're
Yeah.
temples.
Oh,
They're
temples.
temples.
Oh, okay.
And so I was wondering, what are these things? They're lavish. They have gold in them. They have marble in them. They have these baths, with animals and weird stuff in there. We took a tour in the one in Boise, and they
Before they sanctified it.
Yeah, they spared no expense. So I just wanted to ask you, what in earth is all of that?
We're not supposed to talk about it.
Oh, gotcha.
Whoa.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk about it.
We don't want to get you in too much trouble.
No, it's fine. I don't care. I just had to say that. You're not well, you can get there. There are living ordinances, and they're just the ordinances you practice. So people can get married for themselves there. I got married in the Salt Lake Temple, and so there you are. Again, it's another very ritualistic. Okay, you have, kind of, I say now, cult garb, but you have this special type of clothing that you have to wear. And you go in and you have all of these rituals, and then you do it for yourself first, and then you get married, and then after you do it for yourself, then you are supposed to do it for the dead. So there's the Mormon Church. I think they own Ancestry. I want to say Ancestry.com.
Oh yeah.
But they're very big on genealogy, and so you're supposed to gather Israel. Okay, so you find your ancestors, and then you baptize them. You do baptisms for the dead. And so there's a font, a baptismal font, and you go in there and you're given a name to be baptized for your family member, and you can do their sealings and all of their other work. They call it you doing the work for the dead.
Right.
And so, that's what it is. Yeah.
So I got a question for you. Like, I just kind of always wondered this, but are like when you're doing the marriage thing, hi sweetie, when you're doing the marriage thing and all that, do they do anything strange, like that you would think is kind of on a not appropriate thing, where you have to stand naked in front of somebody or somewhere, thing like that? Or do they watch you when you have your first sexual experience? And does that weird stuff go on? I just always wondered. No. Okay. Phew, good to know.
No, it didn't. No, no. And the thing is, like, it has changed over the years a lot. Okay, just like a lot of things have. For me, no, it's very strange though. I mean, when I went through, I was like, I'm part of a cult. Like, it feels very cult-like.
Wow.
Are told that it's not a secret, but it's sacred. It's so special. It's so sacred. And this is the way it's going to be like in heaven. It's white. You're all wearing white. You're dressed like Adam and Eve. Okay.
Naked?
They
No.
I'm just joking.
I know, it's just so I know, have a big leaf thing.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Oh,
Yeah. And so it's very, you're supposed to represent Adam and Eve, and it's kind of hard for me to talk about, only because I know that people, they think it's sacred, but it's very secret. And there is a part in there where they call washing and anointing, and they you put just like a kind of a pillowcase. I would describe it as a open side sheet with a head thing, and then they put oil on you in different spots in your body. And that for me, I felt very uncomfortable. It's not,
Aaron,
none of it.
none of it. What? None of it.
None of it is. None of it's consensual. It's not informed consent. You go in, you're essentially told that this is your way to heaven. But you're not told anything before you go into that temple. You're basically told that you need to be worthy, sexually pure. You have to pay tithing. You have to be a full tithe payer, which is 10% of your income.
Right off the top, right?
I mean, you start that when you're like 8 years old. You start paying tithing when you're like 8 years old. If you get any money, it's always 10% of whatever you make. And so yeah, but you have to do those things in order to qualify to even go inside the temple. But you are not even told.
You're not even told what? You're not even told what? I'm sorry.
You're not told what happens inside the temple. Okay. You're just told that you there, and this is your way you get.
Yeah.
We saw a video one time on the temple. Somebody had a camera underneath their gown, and they were showing how you went in, you got clean, you put on your white robes. And then I heard the Adam thing. It's like, you women, Eve, go that way, and you men go that way. And you had to go into these different chambers, and there was it was almost felt like a jury. That's okay. We like
Don't
to
worry,
be in the
that's
picture.
cute. Our cat's always doing the same kind of thing, that's meandering over our computer.
And I want you to know, we respect the sacred.
We don't care. We don't care. We don't care.
Great.
Don't worry about it. He's being good.
But we saw this thing.
It's 4-year-old.
Yep, that's
he
right.
just wants to be on TV. That's all.
But it was interesting to watch and to see what you had to go through. And I started to think, wow, what mind control. You're in this massive temple. You're going in before these men. You're listening to things in the hallway, talks. And then finally you get to the end and they give you a special name. And then you reach through the veil, this white curtain. And it's almost like you're shaking hands with God.
About that, when you put your hand through the curtain and did you see the hand or did you just feel it?
It's kind of, you're supposed to learn these tokens, essentially. It's things that basically you'll have to say to God or your mate when you cross over the veil. It's supposed to be very representative of when you die. And these are the secret tokens that you will have to give to whoever greets you after you die. And so these are very important things that you have to know.
It's like that word,
and you say Yeah, back, and I like felt so stupid because I didn't go enough. I didn't like it there, and it was just very up and down, and change your robe over here, and then people come and do these handshakes and all of these things, and come find out the handshakes come straight out of Mason.
Oh yeah,
It's Masonic.
that's
Sure
right.
is.
It is. Yep.
Yeah, and they used to, before 1991, they used to have for a motion rope cutting out, like all that. They changed that. They don't have that anymore. But what you do, you covenant, you say yes. You're just yes, and you don't know what you're saying yes to, but you're saying yes. You're saying yes.
And you know that they'll do this if you, right? You know.
Yeah.
Got it.
That was part of. I went through the temple in 2001, and so it was gone by then. And a lot of things have changed too, where they used to say that you had to hearken unto your husband, like women had to, they've taken some of the things out. But I didn't like it there. And I would get a temple recommend, but I wouldn't use it very often because I didn't feel good there. It wasn't my safe spot.
Yeah.
When you felt the hand, that's supposed to be God through the curtain, right? Did you feel a sense that at that moment that you felt maybe it was God, or did you kind of have a feeling it was some other guy representing God? The guy behind the curtain that shakes your hand and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't answer your question. I feel really bad.
That's right.
It's another man over there that you put your hand through like a sheet. It's like there's this thing and there's like a pocket.
Yeah.
And you just put your hand, and then he whisper things into his ear, and he whispers things, and there's a knock, and like it's okay, you've said all the right things, now you can come in, and he leads you into
just Mason all the way.
100% Mason.
Yeah, all of it. Well, in the video that we saw where the guy had the camera under his gown, well, in that case, he literally saw the hand. So interesting that they protected it later, because when you saw the hand, you knew that wasn't God's hand, because
well, he also invited him in to sit down with them and talk.
That's interesting.
After they did the handshakes and stuff,
so
he let him come in. He let him come in, and they sat down together. And the guy was in like this, almost, he looked like a saint,
Yeah, interesting. But the hands were.
It's not
right.
They're temple workers. They're temple workers. That they're people, but they represent God. It's not God.
Okay, I see.
But yeah, they represent, that they're temple workers, and that, but when you go over to the veil, then it's like this big room with this, like, everybody wearing the same thing, and it's so peaceful, but it's so weird. And the women have to keep their faces veiled, and stuff.
What's the idea of that?
I don't know. I don't know, honestly.
What about
it? Just was.
Why do they wear them? Do they wear those every night? Are those only for temple people? And because we see them every now and then hanging on the clotheslines when we drive through the neighborhoods, we see this funny looking. It looks like thermal underwear or something, and we know they're Mormons, but we don't know how often do they wear them. Do they have to wear them? Do they have sex in them? Do they take them off, or what?
No, I mean, some people might if they cut holes in them. I don't know. I don't know what to do. But they're basically, you're given that. It's part of when you go through the temple, you get the washing and anointing, and then you are allowed to wear the temple garment. From that moment, you are instructed to wear it day and night, and only take it off for hardly. I mean, I'm a runner, so I didn't wear them running. Some people do. I didn't wear them with my swimming suit. Some people are very, very strict about wearing them, but you're supposed to wear them day and night under your clothes. Women wear their bra over the garment.
Oh, wow.
It's supposed to touch your skin. And it's like, it used to be like all the way, long, but now you can have it. It's about knee, down to your knee. and you can get like a cap sleeved one, but it tucks in. They're so uncomfortable. They're so
Are they holy?
awful.
Are they like holy garments?
Protection.
Are they like what?
Are they
Yeah,
holy?
holy garments. Yeah, and there are different signs on them that go along with the temple ordinance and things. So you're supposed to wear them as a reminder of the covenants you made in the temple. So
I think that was for
So
Yeah.
protection.
are they custom made for you then? They're custom made just for you? No,
no,
I just figured
no,
with
they're
the symbols
you
and
have
stuff.
no, you have to buy them. You go to like your book or you order them different places and stuff. Ash, stop.
He's having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad not to wear them anymore. I mean, women can't wear sleeveless clothes. You can't wear shorts that, go above your, I mean, barely, they can go down to your knee. For women and men, I guess.
The same in the church I grew up in too. It was like you can wear the dresses, and they always have to be dresses right to the top of the knee, and then sometimes they're in the middle of the knee, and then sometimes they change it again, and it's a little slightly above, and then down back down. It just forever change. You can wear makeup, now you can't. Now you can again. You can do birthdays, now you can't do birthdays. Just I don't know. It's crazy, man. Just men making up stupid dumb rules.
The rules,
They
it
always
depends on who.
who the prophet is.
We had, the prophet, I want to say was but he told women they couldn't have more than one piercing.
Oh, wow.
And so, and it's just like, it's really kind of like the Starbelly speeches on Dr. Seuss, where he's just like, you can tell who's listening to the prophet and who's not. Like if it's just like, we've got that double piercing, you are not. You show your shoulders, you're not wearing your garments. It just very much separates the Orthodox from the non. And it's awful.
Would you say it's authoritarian, like definitely male run? We see women working in the temple. We've had a lot of women try to convert us when we go do their kitchens, but it seems authoritarian, like mostly men run, men prophets, women are subject to men. Is that kind of the way it is?
And now that you're not in there anymore, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just was answering his question. Yes, women are subsidiary to men, and they'll say they're not. Men hold the priesthood, women don't. But then they say, well, women have just as much influence as men. They may not have the priesthood, but they do. Like they just like blur the lines. Like women are so great, we love women, but women don't hold those things, and it's just it's very man run. That's what it is. Yeah.
And does your husband and do you kind of still feel that a lot that way now, or how are you just completely not feeling like that anymore? And so you guys are equals, or has that changed?
Are you still married?
Oh, we are. My husband was never that way, to be completely honest. So like, my husband, he did not serve a mission. Like there are missionaries. He decided not to. He took it. Yeah. So, and that was really hard. My parents, I mean, they fought my marriage till the day of, because he did not serve a mission. But because he had his own sense of self and his own, like, he did not ever, he was not that type of man, never has been. I mean, he wants me to work. He wants me to be the best that thankfully I did not marry a man like my dad.
Thank God.
Did
I didn't marry.
So you can be a Mormon without doing the mission? So he was a Mormon, but he didn't do the mission, right?
Right. Yeah. So he chose not to, which is, I mean, blackballed him. Girls would not date him. It's just, you're not in enough. You're not faithful enough. You're not gonna, it's just all of those things. And so it was really hard for him. But yeah, you don't have to, but
hey,
you're supposed to.
The first boy that ever I kissed, he was a Mormon, and
Oh,
he was supposed to go to because he just graduated and he was supposed to go on his 1-year mission. So we were just enjoying the summer. I was visiting my uncle who is a Mormon and his family. And they tried to get me to be a Mormon, of course, but I was in Worldwide Church of God and I was pretty solid in it, and there was no convincing me. But they tried all summer long, and I was just part of their family, the Wednesday night things they did together in their homes and all that. But interesting that my first boy I kissed was a Mormon. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I had a question. How old, as far as going on a trip, what are they 2-year tours they do? Would you call them tours, those
Yeah.
little trips?
Yeah, so it's 2 years. It used to be when I was growing up, they went to church I'm not church. They served missions at the age of 19 is the earliest they could go.
Ah.
You could, but now they're 18.
Oh.
And so before, boys could have like a year between high school and mission, and now it's right up, and it's 2 years, and it's all self-funded.
Wow.
And how old can you be? Can you go on a mission at 40 or 50, or is it just early on?
It's early on, so you can go. I think this is second week. Ash, you're too loud. You need to be quiet. Yeah, I think you can go, and I don't quote me on this because I don't know, but I know it's like it might be 23 or 25 is the latest you can go. I really think it's like 23. When like you can put it off because some do. But you can. There are older couples who serve missions. Like if you're retired and stuff, and there are retired missions, but as far as like in between like your late 20s and even 50s and 60s, you usually aren't.
It's
serving
interesting.
missions.
It's interesting that these these children, they get the title of elder. I know when I see them on mission, they have the badges and they have their name and they call them elder. So it's kind of a status ego thing, it seems like.
Yeah, we should get on to learning about Ari's story, don't you think so, Dan? Her kids are getting a little antsy, and I don't want her to have to say, "I gotta go, guys."
Yeah, so
You know,
let's just
get on to
she's
it.
pretty much told us, but why don't you tell us why you left? I mean, or how did you leave? Did you drift away? And
We kind of got the gist a little bit of what you say in your bio, so we kind of know that some abuse was going on. So, what kind of was the icebreaker? What was it that was the needle, the thing that's caused you to say, "That's it, I'm done"? What happened?
Well, it's kind of a involved story, but I was all in until like a year and a half ago. Like I couldn't think that I had much of a shelf, like we call it, your shelf items, things shelf, and don't even think about, I was pretty all in, I believed. And then I had a sister-in-law of mine. She confided in me some abuse that was happening in her marriage, that my younger brother was abusing her. And I listened to her story, and I was forced to reckon with my own story growing up in an abusive household. I put it away. My mother was very, very abusive. And so she asked me if I came from an abusive household, and I said, yes, I did. And because I didn't, I had the choice to either make her feel crazy or validate her.
Good for
And
you.
so I listened to her, and then I went to talk to my dad, and I said, we need help. The cycle of abuse is continuing, and we need to stop. And I thought things were going to be okay. And within days, a smear campaign was started against me, and I was being pushed out of my family. I was being told, people, my brother said, don't listen to her, she's bad. I was now bad, and I didn't know what to do. And I learned, I learned later, this is a narcissistic family system, right? But as I was being pushed out, I looked to others. I had an older brother who was out of our family as well. And I learned, and it's hard to explain, but I learned a lifetime of lies that were told about him. And I started to unravel my family as I just started to unravel lots of lies. I mean, I've learned so many lies in my family. And then that was a shelf item for me. Was my dad was a bishop in the Mormon Church. My mom's been a Relief Society president. They go to the temple all of the time. And I thought, if they abuse and lie, I don't have to go to church. I'm not going to go to their heaven. And then it gave me permission to start asking questions and start just, and I'm sorry, I have to pause for a second. Ash, please stop. Okay. He's so loud on my end, but I start. Okay, all I hear is
it doesn't sound that bad to us at all. No.
Oh, good. Okay. But essentially, I wasn't going to church anymore because I did not want to go to their head. I was like, this is not for me. I don't want to be where you're going. So, but then the topic of church history kept coming up. People were saying, does she not want to go to church because of church history? What's wrong with her? They just assumed why I left. And that had nothing to do with it. And then I started to read up on church history. And I learned that, again, that the Mormon Church is rooted in lies, and it covers up abuse. And I learned that I was in a cult within a cult. My family reflected the same system that the Mormon Church is built upon. Because really, when you're told to act a certain way, be a certain way inside of the system, you really just reflect that system within your own homes. It's that hierarchy. You've got the prophet, you've got the seer, and then you have these men who are essentially given the same keys. They're given the priesthood to oversee, and you're basically at a mini church within your own home. And then it's the lies and the deceit comes because you have all of these people who, the Mormon Church is almost impossible to follow standards wise. I mean, you have to be perfect. I mean, it's just keep yourself morally clean, everything. And if you slip up, I mean, you can't. So you start to hide it. And then it teaches people how to lie.
That's right. In my church was the same in Dan's too. It's identical. All kinds of sexual things, and you're not allowed to talk about it or you'll be put out of the church. So you just lie and say, well, no, I don't masturbate. No, I've got that under control now. Yeah, no, it just lies.
They strip you of all your privileges. If you go there and you say, I'm struggling with this, they say, well, Brother Clark, it's obviously you're entertaining wrong thoughts. And here you are 18 years old. I'm entertaining wrong thoughts. I'm the only one in 5 million people who do this. You know what I mean? And they lie. They drop their glasses down, and we're taking away your microphone. We're taking away your watchtower reading. We're taking away your sound. We're going to put you on public reproof, conduct on becoming a Christian, and then disfellowship. Or like you said, lie. You say, I'm done. I got it. I got a handle on it.
It's all because you're trying to do good before God, or Jehovah in their case, to say what you did that was morally not really quite right, because you're not supposed to masturbate in there, right? But you are actually kicked out of the church if you don't get it under control. So you just start to lie because you don't want to be kicked out, but then you're pretending that you're morally pure. You're not.
We have witnesses that have tried to pull out their eyeballs.
Yeah.
Because
that's the breeding that.
Sorry. Go ahead. Oh,
okay. A lag. So I think I'm talking over you. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
you're fine. No, I'm just saying there's ones that, pull out their eyeballs. We had a radio show, and it says, if your eyes make you stumble, rip it out. If you can't get control of yourself, pummel your body and leave it as a slave, beat yourself. And I did. And I know other people, they've taken off to mental wards because they were in the bathroom trying to pull their eyes out. And, just weird stuff, too literal, the whole thing. So, I liked one of the wording that you said. I think I'm going to use it with the Jehovah's Witnesses. You said they started a smear campaign.
Yeah.
Because, man, they blackball you. When they find out you're any kind of voice, you start to speak up. You start to say, hey, wonder about that prophecy you just said. Did we just pass one? Man, the campaign starts. You're an apostate. It's interesting you use that wording.
Yeah. So how do they
Yeah.
do that in there?
I mean, it's actually a thing in narcissism. That's actually the term they use, because narcissists, they start a smear campaign because it's all about protecting the ego and controlling the narrative.
Smear campaign.
Yeah. And then the discard is like the excommunicating, and it's blackballing. It's all of the same thing. It's just, if you look at narcissistic family systems and narcissism, it's what it is. It's a system.
Yeah,
It's a system.
it is. I mean, even I got into a second cult because I don't know if you know this, but when you've been in a cult, a lot of times people will quote cult hop, because they're used to being given orders and told what to do. You don't have to think for yourself. You're just used to that way of living. You've always lived in that. You were born into it a lot of the time. And so you naturally gravitate to another religion that has somebody who's going to tell you what to do. They've got a set of rules, and if you obey them, you're going to heaven, right? And so they like it that way. So they don't have to think. They don't have to take responsibility. Just follow the rules and you'll make it to heaven. And so anyway, my ex, he was a leader of the second cult I was in, and he started an affair, and I couldn't face it because of who it was with. And many years went by, and I just really didn't suspect it, because he had known this person in my family for a very long time, since they were a little girl, and that being the way that they'd been with each other, like he was the older brother, much older brother. And so anyway, ended up that he cheated with her, and the next thing you know, I'm the one who's being smeared for years, trying to bring me down, like, making fun of me. She's so stupid. She's so this, she's so that, just always cutting me down. And it was really hard. I started getting an attitude like this. It's like, whatever, that was kind of like what I said all the time, because I can't please her, this woman, and she's in my life a lot, and we work together even. And so, but anyway, I just couldn't stand it. And finally, in the end, I'm nearly dead. That's the truth. I was dying, but I woke up. I cried out to God, and he helped me. Thank God. In a crazy, good, awesome, miraculous way, fast. It was just because I cried out. Anyway, so that's my story. In a nutshell. But I did lose my family.
So now you're both out. Now you and your husband are all out. You're living happily ever after. Now, did they shun you? Are you like shunned, like we can't talk to you, or they can talk to you, but how harsh is the shunning? I just wanted to ask.
You're kind of cutting out. Am I cutting out?
Oh,
no,
you're not
you're
now.
okay.
I'll say it again. I was just saying, how harsh is the shunning? Like in the witnesses, it's zero communication. Like now that I'm gone, I'm literally cut off. Like, you can't talk to me. You can't, have any conversation with me. So I'm wondering, is it that harsh in the Mormon church when you leave? Did you physically leave, drift away, just stop going, or what did you do?
Well, the thing is, mine's a little bit different with leaving the church. We moved, and we weren't too involved in our community, the church in our area. So we didn't experience a lot of that because, and we had in the pandemic and everything, and then it kind of paused church. So that kind of helped us in that regard. But generally speaking, no, because in the church, it depends on how you leave, I guess. Like if you just quietly leave, then you're going to probably have, they're going to send missionaries to you. They're going to send your home teachers. It's the flying monkeys. That's what it's called in narcissism, but they're going to send them. And then if you're stern and you set a boundary and you say no, then yeah, you're blackballed. And then you're done. You're not, they will not talk to you anymore. But then you've got these, like, if you're very outspoken, like there are people who have, like I have a cousin who is extremely outspoken about the church and was going against him and saying, this is wrong. This is what you've done. They were working on excommunicating him. They wanted him out. And yeah, you cannot speak out against the church. And it's very, Yeah. But as far as, I mean, my story mirrors it with my family, because I spoke out against my family. I confronted my parents on lies and abuse, and I was blocked. I'm one of 10 children. My older sister died by suicide in 2006.
Wow.
But I have 2 brothers who will talk to me, but 6 of my siblings and my parents want nothing to do with me. They will not talk to me.
Wow.
And it's been a year,
What it,
and it's my sister's birthday. I texted her happy birthday because it's like, sorry, there's never a year that's gone by that I've never said happy birthday to my younger sister. And I did today, but nothing.
It hurts. It hurts for a while, I gotta tell you. I got the same thing going on with my kids. You know, they've been turned against me, and they call that woman mother now. And
never
not
got to
me.
talk to her grandkids.
No,
She's not worthy enough.
I'm not worthy enough to even meet my grandkids, really. I met one for a little short stint, like for half an hour, and it was absolutely wonderful.
Wow.
And but that was it. I've never seen her since, nor talked to her, and I don't know that they ever get anything I ever send by text. They will not respond. It's really sad. It's a sad thing. But you know what? Life does go on. It does get easier. It really does. And you do kind of feel like eventually, you know what, when you do it year after year after year, then they don't give you any response,
Yeah.
even letting you know that they received your card, or received your, your phone call, or received your text or anything. You finally just start thinking, am I making a fool of myself sending these gifts, that, thoughtful gifts? And that starts to wane, and pretty soon you don't send gifts anymore. And then pretty soon it's just, a gift. You can do a greeting card with a little bit of money that goes with it. And I did that for a while, and again, no response, and you eventually just don't want to do it anymore. But that's only logical. I mean, you have to use wisdom, right? But it's a painful process. But I'm glad that I'm glad God gives us the grace to handle it. He really does. And he gives us people and other people that we can call our family, and he gives you your big family. You've got lots to keep you busy. And I feel like he does that to help us. But, we do have to take our stand for the truth. And I really want to say I commend you for doing what's right, because lying does rip you apart inside. It makes you mentally ill. It makes you split, and you don't want to be split. And your brother did the right thing by being honest and leaving. Even though that's been hard, but it's better to live the truth and be to thine own self be true, than to live a lie and feel really secretly immoral, amoral, whatever, not moral, because you're lying all the time. You know what I mean? And who wants to live like that? I can't. I don't want to do that. So I've got to be true to myself, and no matter how hard it is. And Jesus said that, in the Bible, that our enemies would be those of our own household. He did. And he had the same situation with his brothers. If you study, you'll realize that he had really crappy brothers. And thank God he got away from them. He got to do a good bit of traveling with his uncle, apparently. But his brothers treated him like crap. So anyway, yeah, we have to make the right choices, and I feel good about my choices, even though my family's not happy with my choices. I feel good about them. So
It comes to that, or you have to just kind of, I can't change them. And it's so weird, because it's on lies and truth look very similar. They just do, because it's one or the other. You have to, because people who lie are so good at it, and it looks like truth.
Oh man,
and
you're right.
It's just like, and people, I can't constantly be fighting for people to believe me. I just have to know that I'm honest. I have integrity, and I can live with myself. I have nothing in my closet, like absolutely nothing. I am so open with my kids. I've got teenage boys, I've got teenage girls. And, now with us being out of the church, it's like, well, you're going to my boys, they're funny about, they don't come and talk to me about if they masturbate or not. I don't need to know. I don't need to know, and I don't need to guilt and shame them. That's the natural natural part of being a boy and or even a girl, and just figuring out your body. They're going to be healthy, more healthy sexually now, if they, probably, and
Yeah,
they're not going to feel guilty.
isn't it
And
terrible?
they're, now it opens up things for me to talk about, sex and things like that, because I mean, religion, cults never stopped them.
Yeah, it's terrible to me to think that, these guys who go in there and they're getting baptized or whatever, and you've got to be morally pure, right? Well, who hasn't had sex with somebody
Mhm.
outside of what anybody knows about? I mean, who? I mean, maybe there's 1 in 500, maybe 1 in 1,000. I don't know. Maybe it's more than 1 in 2,000 nowadays. I don't know, but it's very few that have no secrets in the closet. Very few.
Mhm.
And you'd have to go and get baptized lying. Start out your relationship with God in the temple lying about
Mhm.
something. I just think that was a horrible thing that they have to. What horrible start your relationship with God in a lie situation,
It really is, and the guilt and the shame eats away at you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I didn't have premarital sex. I mean, I was very, 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 very careful. Like, I was so afraid to do anything. But I'm just,
You're a rare one. You're a rare one. Good for you too. What a great example for your kids.
no, but
But what? But what? Oh,
Integrity.
you're breaking up. Say it one more time. Oh, say it
I
again.
have integrity, but sorry,
Oh,
I have integrity, but I'm not that I'm like anything special. I didn't do those things. And I'm not going to hold myself as an example, because everybody's different. Everybody's going to take their own path. And now I can talk about, just preventative things and being responsible. And are you ready for this? Is this something you want in your life? And not, oh, you're bad. You're bad for having those thoughts, or you're bad for the. No, you're not bad. You're human,
it's exactly.
It
And
sounds
so,
like it sounds like you could write a book on narcissism. I never heard of the flying monkeys.
yeah, it comes from like the Wizard of Oz, the wicked witch of the West. She had her monkeys that would return and report, just they would go out and see where Dorothy. Yeah. And that's what it comes from, because the flying monkeys are really just like, spying on people, like, how are they, and that's what it is. Just narcissists. I mean, yeah, I could write a book on narcissism, but
You
You,
should.
shall
you
see.
could, you could,
You
because
ought
you've
to.
been through it. And the thing I don't understand about these religions, I don't understand why, honestly, there's so much lying in them. They tell you white's black, black's white. When I asked the Jehovah's Witnesses, when I said, did we just pass a prophecy? You said 70 or 80 years from 1914, the world was going to end. The generation is 70 or 80 years. And they looked at me like a deer in the headlights and put me on apostate watch. And what was I supposed to do? Compartmentalize for myself? I've been preaching the end, genocide to anyone who don't believe like us for 40 years. And now here's the big culmination, the generation, the watchtowers counting down. Here it is, 70,
The end
80
of
years.
time.
And then all of a sudden the prophecy changes. They don't apologize. They don't admit it. Talk
Yeah.
about narcissism at the top. People that won't, they
Yeah,
never said sorry.
narcissists do not apologize. They shift the blame to everybody else. You're not worthy. You're not,
Yeah.
it was.
They have
Yeah.
excuses and excuses and excuses why, it's all fine and good and dandy. But the truth is, we're not supposed to listen to those ones. When they false prophesy, we're not supposed to listen to them anymore. But people do. It's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, the end of the world is supposed to be such and such, and it doesn't happen. And they don't, they're not responsible. And we're supposed to keep trusting them. The Bible says not to. Wow, that just shocks me. I was going to say, being that you were a journalist, it's funny. I got to tell you this. I was the editor of my school newspaper, and I loved. I had to go out and get do advertising or get advertising to pay for the newspaper, and I brought in so many people to advertise in our newspaper and made a lot of money for our paper, right? And then I loved reporting. I loved interviewing people, and but what happened was, it was one of the last things I had to do is I had to go and shadow a journalist. So I found somebody, and she was going to go down to the courthouse. They were going to be working on passing some laws that day. So she went down there, and I went with her, and went with her to the lunch break downtown Denver, and with important people. Came back, finished out the session, and then it was, they passed some things, did whatever they did, and I got to watch how it all happened and how the people in the public above could comment if they wanted and all this. Well, then we were shuffling into this room right next to it. It didn't even have closed doors or anything. And there's this big wall of TVs, and all the journalists shuffled in there like robots. And they started like taking down stuff from the screens. And I'm like, what's this? And she says, oh, it's like a syndicate. You just take off what you want, and then you can add to it or whatever. But we just all take from this, and that saves us time. We just all kind of, all the different stations, we all just kind of get what we want, and we all report on the same thing in our own way. And I'm like, what? No way. And I just was disgusted. Like, you guys literally have scripted things provided for you to report on. You're all going to freaking reporting on the same thing, only in a special little way. No, this is corrupt. I was just disgusted. And I'm like, I am not going to be a journalist. There's nothing honest about this. And it's not true reporting. And I'm like, I'm out. I am out. And I did not become a journalist. And I just want to say that. And I'm very proud of you for being an honest journalist. Even what you're doing now, right, is an honest journalist. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And right now, like, I honestly, to be honest, I just quit my job last week.
Oh,
I am a freelance journalist now, but I worked for a online I worked for a news organization owned by the church. And in those meetings, I couldn't do it anymore, because they weren't, they were controlling the narrative. There were things about the church that were coming out. I mean, I live in Utah. There were things, and I was sitting in those meetings, and I mean, here's a side story. Just recently, there's the AP article that came out that talked about abuse in the Mormon Church. It was a big article, and there was something at the state capitol. It was a protest at the state capitol to get clergy in Utah to be mandated reporters for child abuse. Because right now in Utah, they're not mandated. Clergy's not mandated to report child abuse. And I said that I wanted to cover it. And I have a whole other side story to sex abuse in the church that is directly related to my own father. That's a whole other arm to my story. And I wanted to cover that. And I told my editor why I wanted to cover it. And I said it was an important issue, and that it wasn't a church issue, but it was a state issue. The state needed to make it a law for clergy to be reporters. And he said, no, it's anti-church. And he didn't put me on the story. And he put somebody else on it. And I didn't complain. I said, okay, I didn't make a big deal. I didn't say much. I said, okay, because I'm used to saying yes to men. Like, yes, okay, yes, man, yes, sir, yes, but in my mind, I'm screaming, and then they did end up reporting on it, but they reported it on it in a different way. That very much catered to the narrative of the church, apologizing like for the church. It was awful. It was awful. And they didn't want it to be a top story, even though it was a top story. And it was just put it on there for a little bit, let it go. Like, don't bring any attention to this story. And I left that same week. I just couldn't be a part of it. But right now I'm just a freelance journalist, and I try to pick stories that are important to tell, but I don't work for anybody right now.
Wow. So, well, I'm sure God will bless you for it, Ari. I really feel that he will.
We know a Mormon gal We won't use her name because she has some really deep things against the Mormon Church. She felt like, she didn't feel like, she did she's on YouTube, and maybe we'll send you the video. But she did a tribunal over in Australia, and she claims in that video that she saw them try to cut her sister's son's heart out below the temple.
No, so she was pregnant, okay?
Yeah.
And she was about ready to give birth. It was coming really close. And so they saw her sister being taken down underneath the temple and kind of followed. And when they got, but they were kind of, you know, hiding, like, I wonder if we should go in there or not. Finally decided to. And right when they finally did and got in, they literally had just taken the baby out, or cut it and got the baby out. And literally just had taken literally got the heart out of the baby and was just starting to put the heart into his mouth to eat it. And they saw him, and they screamed and grabbed their sister who's bleeding and took her out of there. And then they started shooting at her. And her father was somehow involved in knowing about it, at least. And then somebody protected and said, you stop shooting. And then they stopped, and they got those girls out of there. But they hide so
they
much
were
stuff.
mind controlled,
Oh yeah,
mind erased. And she was high up in the church. she traveled with a speaker. Her and her husband sang all over the world. She said we were this front, and we were sex slaves, and I mean, you wouldn't believe it.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's a crazy story.
Yeah, that's something I have to send me, because that's nothing I've even experienced.
That was
I have no idea.
I was like, no, I don't believe it. I couldn't believe it. But then I was like, the lady's sane. The lady was talking to these men clearly. This is wrong. This is how it was used. My mind was erased.
And I literally heard her album, and the picture on the outside of it was definitely her, and her handsome as all heck husband singing all over the world for the Mormon Church.
Stole their house from her.
Oh yeah, her husband did.
He did all kinds of stuff, and so we had him here for a while, staying with us, but she's kind of in hiding. But she did this big video, this big YouTube video, and I mean, it blew my mind. It just was the cult. It was like the cult beneath the cult beneath the cult that you don't know about. Right. And they were dressed in red and black.
And just so you don't feel bad, we have the same kind of horrible, crazy, awful stories in the Jehovah's Witness faith, and then the worldwide Church of God that I grew up in. And I'm sure it's in all religions. We know the Catholics, you know, I think the Mormons are the last to really get found out, really, but they will.
Would you say they're coming apart at the same time?
Yeah, I think we're kind of late to the party, because I'd say we're coming apart. Yeah, there's been a mass exodus with a lot of people, especially since COVID, because people had time to think.
Yeah.
People had time. They didn't want to go back to church, and they had time and gave themselves permission. And there's a lot of things happening in the church, you know, especially with the LGBTQ community. And there's a lot of things just coming out, and people are like, no more. It just doesn't align. What the church teaches doesn't align with their values. And then they're giving themselves permission to ask those questions and to look at the things that we're told not to look at.
Right.
And it is, I mean, it's shrinking. I don't think it's, I mean, there will always be those people, you know, in any religion who are going to stay no matter what, you know, but it is.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said it is definitely shrinking. That's what I said. Yeah.
You know what kind of freaked me out too? Just, I mean, of course, there's so many things that are hidden in this world, but in Utah, they have the facility that's run by the Mormons, at least, that has this long, I'm thinking I feel like it's 2 miles long. It's what it feels like when I saw the cameras going down the aisles, after aisle after aisle of all of these big, tall machines that are probably, let's see, 7.5, 8 feet tall each, millions of lights on each one, and just goes on and on, one after the other, kind of like a big, large filing cabinet with millions of lights on it, and just goes for miles, it looks like. And they're all recording everything we're all doing. And the Mormons are the ones who are in charge of keeping that facility. And it's like, whoa, you know, it's like, that is just, why would you even make yourself a part of something like that if you're a holy people of God? I'm just saying. Do you know what I mean?
Between the canyon and Utah.
What?
I've never even heard of that, so I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
government.
it's government watching and
Big
listening
listening
to
thing.
us.
It's near, if you're going to the canyon, like you're going to Wyoming, you know how you can cut off? You're going either down into Salt Lake from Boise, or you can cut off and go through Echo Canyon. Well, in between that area of Echo Canyon and Salt Lake, there's a big government facility out there, and they say the Mormons, a lot of them run it because they can speak multiple languages and do different things, and so they're listening to a lot of the calls. It isn't the Mormons; it's a government-run operation, but a lot of Mormons are in the facility.
Right. And so they listen to everything
Yeah.
and everything recorded that we do on our phones in particular. Anyway.
I know that there's a facility out on, yeah, in no, it's in Utah County. That it is, yeah, it's a government facility, but I try not to think too much about that. I'm sure there's things, but yeah, I don't know.
I know if we knew
Yeah.
everything about our churches, it would be probably a little bit mind blowing.
We should probably wrap it
Yeah,
up.
we should. Is there anything else we should make sure to talk about? Let's see.
Do you want to share anything else, or are you good for today, or how'd you, we really
Oh, yeah,
appreciate you.
yeah.
I'll tell you, I learned more about the Mormon church. At least some of the pieces have come together, because being we're in Mormon territory here in Boise, I've had the Pearl of Great Price given to me. I've had the Covenants and Doctrines. I've had 25 books of Mormons given to me, and at least it puts it together where that stuff came from, kind of how the organization is set up. It's so many things.
You know what I was wanting to make sure that we talked about, for the sake of so many people that struggle with this. And lately we've been seeing so many people committing suicide. It's unbelievable. And knowing that you struggle with that, can you talk just a little bit about that, or maybe what your advice would be to anybody that feels that way, and what would you have to say about that?
Well, I'll just say that I never thought I would feel that deep sorrow ever. Having lost a sister to suicide, it was very real to me, but I didn't understand it until it happened to me. When we talk about the smear campaign, I had nowhere to go. And that's what a lot of people in cults and in families like mine is, they call it poison the well. They make it so you feel like you have nowhere to go. And the only way out is out. And advice, I'd say get help. Get help. I have a good therapist. I also, you can't just rely on your family. You need to have friends and things like that, but you need somebody, a good mental health professional, and you need to just kind of check in. I don't know. I don't struggle with it as much, but I do have my moments when I feel like I dipped down, where I feel really sad, and I feel kind of, but it just, for the most part now, I want to live, because I don't know what's next too. I don't want to know what's next right now. It's important for me to stay present.
Amen.
So when I have those moments, I'll just kind of I make sure that I'm aware of my surroundings. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What am I doing? Who's here with me? And all you really have is now, where I believe that I believe I'll see my sister again, but do I know? Absolutely not. I don't know. I want to, and I hope for that, but right now I just have now. And so when I feel like that way, I just have to stay present.
Yeah,
I guess.
What was I gonna say about that? Oh shoot. When you get kicked, when you get shunned like that, and blackballed, whatever you want to call it. It is such a painful thing. And in a lot of the religions, you're not allowed to go to counseling outside of your church. So you have a lot of guilt around that, because that's the world. So that's why a lot of times people don't feel like they have anywhere to go, because the church was their whole life. And the Jehovah's Witnesses, that was everybody that was any part of you. You don't eat with the world. You don't eat with them. And I don't know about Mormons. In my Worldwide Church of God, they didn't eat the same kind of foods we ate. They ate pork and things we're not allowed to eat as a Jew, Messianic Jewish type people. So, they're kind of like pagans. So for the most part, you get leery of going to grandma's house because she might give you beans with a little bit of bacon in it because it comes that way in a can. And so you'd fear going to grandma's. And so you just feel like you had nowhere to go. And I just think that's a big fat problem because they make you feel so isolated that you should only be a part of this family and no other family. And you don't go outside. For God's sake, don't go out of this family to go get your counseling from the world. And so you feel like you don't have anywhere to go. And I just want to mention that. What do you feel about that?
It's exactly what it is. It's called in clinical terms, it's called enmeshment. You're enmeshed. So the church is an enmeshed system. You're either with us or you're against us. My family was enmeshed. You're either with us or you're against us. You follow what we say. You only, the church has LDS social services that are paid. A lot of those services can be paid for by the church. And so you become reliant on the church. My dad worked for LDS social services as a therapist. So it keeps you in the system. You're like you're just churned back through. They tell you, you don't get help if you go to a Mormon counselor because they're going to say, well, did you read your scriptures? Are you active? Are you doing all of these things? And so it just filters you back through the system that's hurting you.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And that's the same thing. My dad's a therapist, and he told us basically that people who needed therapy were crazy. I grew up thinking that only crazy people, and so, but then I was allowed to talk to him. He was my therapist. And so, and I was just filtered again through the same toxic family system. He would reinforce, oh, your mom is so good. And just like the church would reinforce, oh, the prophet's so good. I just was like, I go to help. It was just like, I kept drinking from the same poisonous cup every time I go for help. And it took me just getting out of that system. And then you're like, whoa, it's just totally, it's a terrible beginning, but I'm alive.
Yeah.
That people don't out. So
you would make a good recovery coach because you have a good overview of everything. Like she used that word, poisoning the well. You got all these terminologies, you know about narcissism. I think now that you went through this, you can see a big picture. And I just want you to know this. Mm-hmm. Angela's went through the same thing twice. I've went through the same thing 2 or 3 times, shunning, abandonment. My family abandoned me. I tried to call my brother the other day 4 times. He wouldn't return my call. And so it isn't only the Mormon church. A lot of witnesses, I'll just say this, a lot of witnesses get it in their head that they're victims. Oh, I lost 40 years of my life. They stole my life. And they go on disability and they give up and they don't have to, because the real you that was made in God's image and likeness is still there with all the gifts, all the talents. And me and Angela are evidence that we've been out 20 some years. We found our gifts, we found our talents, we're authors, we're speakers, we have a motion picture in a way, we have business owners, we have a nice home, and all of it came after the cult. And we started at 40, we're 63. You know what I mean?
I did a Christmas album.
Christmas album. We're like just beginning. We're so damn excited. We don't want the world to end. We're not wanting the world to end, and we don't care. I don't care about heaven. I don't care about the other side. I'll never know what it is. I'm okay in the mystery, right?
Dan said to me one time, Angela, do you have to have everything just so perfectly figured out? Like everything in a box, a nice little neat box. So when you're used to following rules and regulations and dogma and all that, you just have to have it that way. Otherwise, you're not safe, right? So Dan says, Angela, what if you just lived in the mystery? Why do you really have to know everything? Like everything has to be figured out to the nth degree? I'm like, well, yeah. And then I thought, he said, can't you just live in the mystery? And I'm like, the mystery, not having to know. Wow, what a concept. Yeah, yeah, I think I might kind of like that. What if I don't have to know? What if I don't have to have everything all figured out? And I don't have to take the time to figure it out and do brain damage to myself. I'm just be in the mystery. I'll be in the gray area. I'm like, oh, I love this idea. And so I decided, yeah, I'm going to be in the gray area on lots of things, because I'm just going to say, I don't know. I don't know. And it's okay. And I just love that place, you know,
Yeah.
and it's opened me up in a really big way. And I'm like Dan too, you know, the mean, mad God is gone away from
That's
me.
gone.
And I'm grateful that I know that God is not that mean, mad God anymore. And that, everywhere he presents himself in nature. And I'm glad you get out in nature and run, because that is a beautiful way to get back connected with God, because he's everywhere in nature. I mean, somebody said that God is hidden in the most obvious place that no one will ever think of it. And like, duh, it's right here in creation. He's like in the most obvious place, right smack dab in front of your face everywhere you look. And how funny is it and he's inside of us too. I believe that. My heart beats from him. So anyway, kind of interesting that they make everything has to be something scary and mean, and the sky is judging everything you do. It's so different than the God I know now, and who loves me and spoils me rotten. I feel like that. And anyway, I'm grateful to know. But thank you so much for being so brave to share like a good journalist what's happened.
And I want to say this too, that there's a scripture in the Bible that said, I, God, will give you back what the locusts have eaten. And me and Angela both experienced that. You've heard of that saying before?
I will give you back what the locusts have eaten.
Have you ever heard of that scripture?
No.
What that means is the time lost, the 40 years that I lost, no education, graduating with a D minus, not being able to read, all because I thought the end was going to happen in 1975. I had no use for school.
You're not allowed to go to college.
I was never going to drive. I was never going to use, because going to college was using the world to the full. So God, think about it, giving me back what the locusts have eaten. Locusts go in and eat the whole field down to nothing. And God says, I will give you back. I don't know if you're an atheist now or what, but we found God outside of religion. We're spiritual. We're not religious at all. We're spiritual. We believe in God. We cooperate. We commune with God. We pray.
He's everywhere.
He doesn't have to have a name, and what we know is we feel connected and we feel blessed and we feel like we have an overshadowing. So we have gotten back what the locusts have eaten, but we realize he hasn't even started. We've got so many dreams and things that it's amazing. And so do you.
Yes.
You have so many things. Those kids have so much to look forward to now that you're out of there. They don't have to look at abuse and lies. They're going to see you blossom and unfold in ways that you don't even know. You don't even know. You watch, all God ever says is just turn your attention to me. And that's all you ever have to do.
Your face is just going to get more and more beautiful by the day and the minute, because you're just going to get more and more peace, and that joy is going to radiate in you. And oh my God, your kids are going to be like, wow, mom, and that's what they're going to be like, because you're just blossoming before their very eyes. How glorious is it? You're blessed.
I'm getting happier when I have my better, I feel more free even in all of this stuff. But yeah, I don't know what I believe in, but I do believe in something, and I don't know what God is. But I believe in something, and I believe, I just believe. And I believe, but I believe what you're saying, that the possibilities and the unknown is filled with possibilities. I don't know, but there's just so many unexplained things. And if there's something next, I'm super excited for it, but not yet.
Yes, it's a mystery. And, I piss off spiritual people all the time, because they're like, why do you say God? And I said, I just say God because I say God. I used to say Jehovah God. It's Jehovah God. It's Jehovah God. Then you go into Christian community. Jesus is God. Jesus is God.
Or how about the 12-step group, higher power?
They get so mad at me. I can't say God in any format. Go ahead.
The Mormons call him Heavenly Father.
I like that.
Heavenly Father.
I like Heavenly Father. That's a good, safe one. Don't you think?
But they'll think I'm a Mormon if I say it.
Well, no, I don't think so, because I think we called God our Heavenly Father when we were praying in my church that I grew up in.
I call anything, because I struggle just a little bit when you have terrible parents you don't want another parent telling you what
Yeah. I got you.
Right.
I got you.
That's right.
Maybe you'll relate better to one of the gurus or the masters or maybe Jesus, who knows? But
I just no, but I just relate to just an unknowing is something, and I believe that,
yeah,
I don't
unknowing.
I just don't know, but I have a friend on the other side. I have a sister.
Yeah,
I have a
you.
sister over there, and if she's over there and I think she is, I believe she is. And if I feel like I need to talk to somebody over there, I talk to her. I don't pray to her, but I
Perfect.
talk to her,
Perfect.
cool.
Perfect.
Cool.
and
hearing you. Yeah. And God might even let her come and
yeah,
visit you. You never know. He might. He really might. I've heard of it.
I do
And
that. I asked her that too. I need to talk to her today. I need to talk to her. Whoever's over there in charge, I need to talk to her.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
that's
really
good.
cool.
That's really good.
I've never done that.
I
That's
got
pretty cool.
goosebumps. It must be right. I'm serious. It's right for you for right now.
And that's where you got to start.
I have, yeah.
That's where you got to
Yeah.
start. I tell people, her mother wants me to be a Messianic. Her dad wants me to be a Seventh-day Adventist. My uncles want me to come back to Jehovah. It's like, I got to be me. I can't be you. I can't be you in your Messianic stuff. I can't be you in your Seventh-day Torah stuff. I can't be you. So where you're at right now is 2009 South be true, and we'll build from there, right?
Yeah.
I'll
See,
build my own idea.
it's kind of funny, Ari, about me. In my second cult that I was involved in, Jesus was channeling through my husband. Okay, but it really wasn't Jesus at all. But I thought it was, because he knew everything we'd ever done wrong, or secrets that no one could possibly ever know. And I was absolutely convinced that this was Jesus Christ. Coming to the end of the whole thing, 16 and a half years later, I'm nearly dead. And I've been basically kicked out of the church because I said, I don't believe that this is Jesus. I believe it's Satan. Right. So I'm forever ousted. So I'm still just now beginning to have a relationship with Jesus again, because even though he didn't do that, it was a trick. And it was really, I believe personally that it was a horrible, mean, cruel trick, because I had a great relationship with Jesus before that. And still, after all these years, and I've been away from it now 18 years, and I still don't have that old wonderful relationship with Jesus back. I don't even know if I ever will. But for me, at least, I just thought, okay, then I'll go to the Father. For me, it's like, okay, then I feel safe with Father. But for you, you can't go there because of what you've been through. Interesting. It's like a switch. But anyway, I relate. I totally relate. I was mad for a while because, even though I knew, and I even say to Jesus, I understand that you didn't do this. I understand that I was tricked. And all these years, I thought it was you, and I get it. And I know it's not your fault, but I just don't trust you, because it's too much like the fake one. And I just can't do this. And so I know he understood and he got it. It's okay. It's okay. But that's what I had to go through. And I felt so bad about it because I knew it wasn't his fault, but I just can't do this. So anyway, I had to not pray to him anymore.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. We're all on our journey. We have a journey, and it leads, as long as you have integrity and you're true to yourself and what, true to other people, and you can go to sleep at night and know that you got nothing in your closet anymore. Clean the closet.
Right. That's right. That's right.
That's right.
Well,
so I got to ask you this question. How many miles do you run a day? And have you ever run a marathon yet? Or how many have you ran?
Good question.
It depends on, how many, I like to run between 5 and 8 a day if I can. And yes, I've run several marathons. And the farthest I run is 50 miles. I run a 50-mile race.
Wow.
So yeah, I have, and I'm not as fast as I used to, but my fastest marathon is a 2:51.
That's good. My fastest one is 3:56:46. But I wasn't running that much, but that was Los Angeles. I ran Los Angeles. I ran Colorado twice. I ran Alamogordo, New Mexico, and I ran Las Vegas International.
But how many miles though? Wasn't it
26.2?
And yours was 50.
Yeah, no, that was an ultra marathon. That was like a.
So all marathons are 26.2, but an ultra marathon, that took me a good 6.5 hours.
Where was it at?
Where? It was on the Pony Express Trail.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. I ran up Pikes Peak once too, about killed me. That was a 14er.
I thought El
And
Maguardo was the one.
El Maguardo almost killed me too. That was running in White Sands, El Maguardo. In the desert, it was like 60
Mexico.
degrees, but then when you hit the road, it was like 18 miles into town on the road, and it started getting hot. And I just was dragging because I drove from Colorado to there early in the morning, 4 in the morning, got on buses, taken out to White Sands, dropped off, and then
And you didn't take water with you, did you?
there's water on the road, but no, I didn't take any. They have. Did you ever run Los Angeles?
I haven't. I stay pretty local. I have a lot of kids, so I don't get to travel too far.
Yeah.
So,
We need to let her go. It's already 1:34 already. And
Yeah.
thank you so much. Is there anything you want to say to everybody? Just
thank you very much for letting me talk. And I just hope I hope this helps somebody. I just always help her. So
Yeah.
You can go on my channel anytime, our channel, Life After Religion. It'll be posted there and you can see all the comments.
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we'll put
So-
it
All right.
out
Well, I
there.
appreciate
Tomorrow morning. We'll get it out into the world. Maybe tonight,
Okay.
possibly. And then we'll make sure you know about the comments and whatnot. So, but Life After
Okay.
Religion is our channel. Do you ever go on YouTube at all? Do you
Yeah.
ever, yeah,
do.
that's her channel. So you can look at all the comments about your video right in there. So
And
Okay.
thank you. That's going to
Well,
help me adjust. I live in Mormon territory, so that's going to help me
yeah, we
relate
do.
to the people a whole lot more.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. So
they're nice people. I guess the one thing I could say is that it's not the people, it's the system.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're really, the church, like people like to say that the church is true, but the people are bad. They shift it, it's not the church is perfect, but it's the people that no, the people are good. The
I agree.
church is not.
Yeah. I mean,
So
of course they get tricked into
Yeah.
following every single thing they're told to do, which ends up making them do things they would normally not do. But their real nature is good. It is. I believe everyone's.
all right, for the most part, but yeah, they're very, very brainwashed. So just say hello and goodbye.
God bless you. You know what I mean?
And be
Yeah.
kind, just
Yes.
Okay.
and
Thank
I
you so much.
boundaries. But yeah, you're welcome. Thank you too. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank
Okay,
you
you
too.
too.
Sorry, we're talking to each
So-
other. Oh, good night,
Bye.
buddy. Thanks for joining us.
You froze.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you,
Bye.
Margaret.